Jumbo, fellow adventurers, welcome to another daily spiritual tune up. This time the topic is God versus the universe. And it's about the evolution of self awareness. Okay, just through deductive reasoning and based on historical records and timekeeping that spans millennia, very conventional resources, we can deduce a couple of things about the origins of our view on reality, all the way up to the present moment where we are generally far more enlightened. But I want to preface what I'm about to share with you by stating what I think may or may not be the obvious, and that is while I talk about different perspectives on the divine or its absence, I'm not speaking of the entirety of each generation. Okay, there have been enlightened people, far more than me, millennia ago, and there are people who, let's just say, are living their first life in time and space right now, and are as ignorant as many of us used to be. So, the evolution of self-awareness. Clearly, I would say, based on the evidence, as we first emerged onto the scene post Adam and Eve, there was probably a total focus on survival. Caveman, cave woman, and if it didn't move or threaten you or glorify you, it wasn't real. Your physical senses, ours long ago, told us about the world that we needed to contend with in order to survive. There was no bandwidth to ask the deeper armchair questions about the meaning of life, and therefore no recognition nor appreciation in most cases regarding the divine and its existence. Eventually, as humanity began to have a little bit of spare time, and there was crops, and there was order, and there were systems, humanity could begin pondering the most awesome, amazing, liberating question of all: how did this all come to be? And some drew the conclusion that it was random chance. Those are the same folks who were living in the caves, who didn't have the bandwidth. Some of those folks still live among us today. But others started thinking there must have been an intelligence that made all of this possible, because it's just working like machinery. Life is thriving on the air, land, and sea, some kind of intelligence. And so immediately, in our quest for understanding, connecting dots, and thereby empowering ourselves, because the truth sets you free, and you know that even if you're naive. The more you know, the better your life is going to be. So, asking this great question, there was a realization that there has to be intelligence, A+, but in our feeble innocence, we assumed that intelligence must be a lot like us. And so we came up with ideas of what God is, and we ascribed human qualities on the divine, because we didn't know any better. I mean, what else are we going to ascribe to the divine? I get so excited. And so we have views recorded in spiritual tomes that God is angry, that God is a man, that God is jealous, that God is wrathful, that God is judgmental, that God is going to make you pay your dues. And so we have a very scary figure when it comes to our ideas of what divine intelligence must be, because we assumed that God must be like us. As we continue to grow and prosper and thrive, and our own evolution of consciousness created a larger bandwidth to kind of understand and see and observe greater things, including beyond what we had defined earlier, we start realizing that we're beating all the odds, that we're thriving. Even as ignorant as we could be, we still thrive. Even to this day, most people think God's an angry white man, and we still have space stations and DNA technology. But some among us have been able to surmise that God probably is not a dude. He's probably not angry. It's all about love, or this all would have imploded a long time ago. But the word God has been so horrifically tainted with preconceived ideas, and we all carry this baggage around that God's angry and he's a man and it's all a test and blah, blah, blah. And so a better word has been derived, and that is the universe. The universe loves you. The universe loves everyone. The universe doesn't judge you. The universe wants for you what you want for yourself. And so we have this vastly improved, far more accurate take on divine intelligence, not as our enemy, not as our executioner, but as our buddy, as our playmate, as just everything good about reality. Again, there are no words to share what an empowering, powerful, gorgeous leap that is, so much closer to truth than thinking God is angry. Okay, but it is incredibly flawed. Necessary to get us from God is an angry dude to somewhere else, because you can't generally go 5 levels up. Some people can, but it's very gentle to go from God out there watching us angry to the universe out there doting and loving us. That's not a difficult dot to connect, given how much he does for you. But it is very, very flawed, because it puts the universe out there. There is no universe out there. We're inside of the mind of God. We are extensions of the universe. And so where we are right now in this great awakening on planet Earth 2020, many have connected the dots a while ago, some back in the cave days, and they burned those people alive, that we are each fully empowered sparks of the divine. It's not God. It's not even the universe. It's me. It was me all along. I am the universe come alive in the dream of life, and I'm so hypnotized by the illusions that I don't even realize I'm streaming them into place right this very moment. And sure, God or the universe is infinitely more than you or I. But so are you and I infinitely more than you or I ever realized. God is every mote of dust, the space in between, every cell, every atom, and every fiber of your body. Every thought you think, gorgeous or vile, beautiful or disgusting, peaceful or violent, pure God. What could be non-God? There's nothing that's not God, and you are the embodiment of God come alive in the dream of life, which is really great news. Because your nature is loving. Your nature is to give. Your nature is to live in peace. This is your default setting, not some caveman or cave woman who wants to pillage and plunder for as long as you can get away with it. That's not in anyone's nature. Just look around at the cooperation on planet Earth, even among the people who don't believe in God, even among the people who think God's an angry guy. It's still evident in traffic and global commerce and everywhere that we are benevolent creatures, powerful creatures. And now, when we get out of our own way and we stop ascribing delays in our life to a doting universe, well, the universe has her own time frame. Well, the universe is deciding who gets what when. Well, the universe has some tests for me. No, there is no such thing as a universe, any more than there is such a thing as a God, as an angry man. It's you. There's only you. And you have the power to do anything you dream, and your inclination is towards abundance, friends, laughter, harmony. You are pre-approved. You're in the winner's circle. You can do no wrong. You are pushed on to greatness every single day. Roar, bask in the light, revel in your magnificence. This is the truth. And yes, there is a higher self, and yes, there are angels, and yes, there is Even more good stuff coming to you than you can imagine. But where we are now and where we want to be is not just recognize what I'm saying. I'm preaching to the choir. You all get this. But start living it, embodying it, waking up the Christ consciousness inside of all of us, becoming truly enlightened so that we know on the fly that we are creators and our lives can thereby become effortless in joy and ecstasy forever and ever. As I lay this all out, can you see how primitive times are right now? Even now, on the cusp of enlightenment, even now, as many people are awakening, there's still gloom and fear and people not believing in intelligence or denying the order in the world, thinking it was random, thinking that the human brain is the product of evolution from rocks. Do you have any idea of how incredible it's going to be? In the immediate future, years, decades, a century from now, this is going to be a blazing oasis of magnificence and perfection. People empowered, helping one another. Gone will be borders delineating which country is where. The only point of having borders on a planet is to keep track of sports teams. Okay, beyond that, we're all in the same family. We're all in the same boat. And we're going to start living like that really soon. There's so much to look forward to. Have an awesome Thursday, the best of your life. I wish you awakening and I wish you enlightenment. And I wish you happily ever after, which is totally inevitable. Tally ho!